Hey garden friends, welcome on back. It is a hot day here at Flower Patch, but I've been trying to get out and get a few things done. Some roses tied up, etc. Always something to be done in the garden and just enjoy it even on a very hot day. Let us get rolling on our rose cottage garden for the 4th week of June. Can you believe June's over? It's amazing how fast summer flies. So yeah, lots going on there. So here comes the Rose Cottage Garden, aka Rose Alley. Now you may wonder why I call it both. Well, I consider this part where we're walking through the arbors, where the roses are climbing over, as the Rose Alley, and then the rest of it is the Rose Cottage Garden. So first let's just go down the outside of it and see what has changed from last week. Now my Roseanne geranium that I have in a few spots is starting to bloom. This continues to bloom all summer long for me and is a great cottage plant, pollinator friendly. So as this is, I think this is ending pollinator week, but all of my, I don't use any sprays that are harmful or things. I was just at the garden center and I was telling him about my rose weevils, etc. And he's recommended a systemic. And yep, that would work, but it would also harm all our pollinator friends. So I won't use it. I will just continue with my hand picking and other things. But you can see how Roseanne, it rambles through other plants and just has these pretty little flowers. Here's my 2 roses. It looks like I've got, it might be, let me see, a sawfly. Or I need to go ahead. I haven't fertilized in here, and I need to with these 2 roses. I use my eco organic, which is sufficient. You don't need a bloom booster, etc. And I need to do a video on that. I do have a blog post. The Jupiter's beard, can you see that? Still going. You can see why I love this plant. Starts in earlier in spring and keeps going. Now here is one. You see that one? That one is getting ready to go to seed, and I will prune that back, deadhead it back, and then it will then produce more blooms. Now look at this delphinium. I think this must be a lavender or a light colored one. My darker blue one is down in there. And yeah, I planted them both at the same time. Must be different varieties. So these irises, I haven't cut them back, which normally I deadhead them back, but I left them taller as a signal to myself that I need to get out here and thin them out and take care of them. So that's on my agenda. And then I'll have room for something, because some of these were repeats, and then I can have something maybe that'll bloom like at this time of year, and then still have the iris in the earlier spring. The peonies need attention. And these are the tiny monster hardy geraniums. I'm just going to let them scramble. This is the road, so it's not a big deal that they're laying down. And then, in fact, they block weeds. You see how weeds get in this area, and I weed eat them, neaten them up. And my bowl of beauty is nearly done. I had a couple weeks of beautiful blooms, and then I'll just have the nice greenery. And here's this yarrow. It might be the white, which means I will take it out. I had a red one in here, and I don't see it. So maybe it's, and it is a shorter growing one, so it might be down in there somewhere. But the daisies, you can see all my daisies are getting ready to bloom. Really pretty. Many of these are self-seeded. I have a lot of self-seeded flowers, and I will do a video on all of them soon. Some of my favorites. The rose campion is coming into its own. And all down here, there's the bench I sit on. I had sat on to do part of my videos. My foxgloves are almost done, and I really like them showing from behind the bench. I need to plant something in there that's tall. Maybe some more delphiniums would work in there. So this area, you know, the feverfew and all of that, I just let that, whatever's tough, because this area out here doesn't get any water. But I did bring in some water to this bed. And you see I put these poor tomatoes, these two were in the greenhouse and they were just really struggling. So I thought I'm going to pop them out in this bed here. I had thought of making this just my cutting garden, but I was watching the sun to see how much sun this area got. And I thought, oh, I could put my tomatoes in there and still have cutting flowers. We'll go along Primrose Cottage there later, but I wanted to bring you down here into the alley. I haven't shown this to you in a while. Everything out here is free-seeded, self-seeded. So this one is about, it looks like it's going to be nice and ruffly, one of my crazy daisies. Some larkspur out here. Now there is a drip irrigation to the roses. Now I'm going to show you what those rose weevils do. You see that? How nasty all those look? I need to cut them off and then it'll reflush blooms but not be infected. In fact, there's eggs in here and that's why I want to cut them off and dispose of them so that I can limit the damage they do next year. So here's the pretty rose of this rose. Now these roses I put back here because it was an extra space and I didn't have room for them. I wasn't sure where I was going to put them. This was supposed to be a short-term interim and they have done fantastic out here. So it must be a perfect spot. But look how tall. This rose has got to be over 6 feet tall and the blooms are all up high. I'm going to look really close to see if I see any weevils. I don't, but I see one. 1 second. You got to give me a chance. I got to kill them when I see them. See him right there on that bud? He's now toast. Okay. Yeah, these ones were pretty bad out here because I hadn't been watching closely out here because this spot's a little out of my way. But, you know, now that I could see that these roses do so beautifully out here. Now those two, I can't remember what they are, but this one is my David Austin rose. This is my Scepter Dial. It is so, I would love to have this one up in the garden. And I had gone to dig this out and it's so well rooted that there was no getting this out. So if I want another, I will either have to take cuttings of this one and or buy a new one. But taking cuttings pretty easy. I will do a video on pruning roses in 3 minutes or less. And then I'll show you how sometimes I also make starts. I'm looking around for any of the weevils. Now this one would already have been blooming, but I had to cut it back hard in the spring because of snow damage. So it's just now getting ready to bloom and it's full of buds. So this is behind the Primrose Cottage. That's an area that I want to transform. So let's go back on up. Now this area back here, I do have irrigation to it, so I'm going to start, you know, spreading seeds of things, etc. Because I weeded it down to make it tidy. But I would love to have more of this, but make it easy maintenance. You know, keep it easy. So, but look at this. I want this one to, this deeply plum colored foxglove, I want that to reseed for certain. And you notice mine is definitely a bit on the wild side, and I love that. I love that wild, natural look. There's times I crave order, and there's ways I can bring that in. But my Tess Rose, beautiful, doing great. My Abraham Darby, it has one big flush of blooms, and then it peters out. I need to probably get this feverfew out of there, prune it, and then maybe it'll give me some more rebloom. But I had intended on pulling it out of there. I think it gets too much shade. And relocating it. So my pathway, I've spoken about this micro clover, and it's very patchy, but I do know it can fill in. So I've gotten some irrigation segments that I can put little sprayers on each side and it'll spray it. And then it will fill in a little bit better. and then I could just mow it. But it's very drought tolerant. This is so dry here. Gets no water. Every now and then I spray it with the hose, but that's it. And it's still growing in green, and that's what this is supposed to do. Create like a carpet of green, but is drought tolerant, more drought tolerant than grass. And I wanted a green pathway. So here's the new dawn rose. I planted this here because I want it to climb up. It will. It's a very vigorous grower. Down here, this is Princess Kate clematis, and it's slowly getting started. It had kind of a slow start, but it's getting going now, so it's going to be great because it'll get its face up into the sun, which it likes. That. This side of the Bosco Bell and my Tammy Rose, which I need to deadhead. As you can see, the daisies are starting to get going. Now those foxgloves I had here, I have taken out. This phlox, I think this is the same phlox as is in the front garden, which I think is storm burst or something, and that blooms early. One on this side, and one on this side, maybe two. Oh, I think there's two over there. But I like it because it blooms this time. It's kind of a mid time where it's before all the summer bloomers. Yeah, there's two hummingbirds up here. Oh, she flew away. Anyways, they land on the arbors all the time. But yeah, you could see that my cat's pajamas nippet is doing wonderful. I will go through, and on half of them, I'll go ahead and prune them back hard. And then by the time the other half that's unpruned is done, but still bringing color, it's still bringing color right now, but then the other will be flushing with blooms. And so I won't have a bare time. That's the theory anyways. So, and then I've got some Rudbeckia, Black-Eyed Susans coming up. I have been getting in here daily to deadhead the irises. And I'm going to get down at eye level to the plants. See this one, these ones here are going to come out because there was too many of them, and yeah, they're blocking the phlox, and I can put the ones that I'm going to keep of this color back further. So that's my plan. And this little salvia down here just keeps on blooming. I'm gonna prune or deadhead back half of it, those blooms, let the others finish out just like the nepeta, and I'm going to then enjoy a rebloom. This is my awakening climbing rose. Hopefully it's not blowing it out. I forgot the name of this little treasure, but this one needs to get deadheaded, and hopefully it will. I can't remember this one. I don't know if it's a rambler that blooms once or if it's one that will rebloom. Look at down here. Look at this. There's a clematis coming up. I tried to plant clematis along all the arbors with the roses. Look at this one. This one's coming up here too. I think this was Jackmanii, and I can't remember what that one is. I do have a garden map where I did write down everything. Now this is the apple blossom rose, ground cover rose. And this quicksilver, this is another one of those arbor rose from Cortez, like the one, the Jasmina up front that I just rave over. And this is quicksilver, and it just is so hale and hardy. It's just doing beautiful. And this poor foxglove's leaning. I'll either pull it out, or some of them I'm going to let reseed, like this white one. I love the white ones, etc. And I will try to have them seed a little bit further back so they're not so far into the front. Yeah, this is the Gertrude Jekyll. You notice just a few buds on it now, but it will rebloom. This is the area, definitely half of these iris are coming out. I was thinking of putting my Power Puff rose here. It's supposed to get 4 feet. And it has the beautiful bright pink roses. So I think that'll be perfect there. The half of these will stay, so I'll still have that massive bloom of those beautiful iris there. And look back there, that's my Pam's Choice foxglove. It's got the deep burgundy throat. And this one too, I'm leaving one of them to go to seed because because I love the yellow or creamy color next to the pink. Here's this is a Veronica Hardy Boy. Okay, I know what this is, and I can't think of it at the moment. This is Bushy Boy Veronica, and you see it's getting ready to bloom. It's gotten very tall this year. Last year it just was much shorter, but it had been the first year, so it's getting going. These iris are coming out of here, and here is my Jubilee celebration. I've told you before, this thing is such an outstanding bloomer. I had put something here to prop up these blooms, but it's not tall enough, so I need to get a taller support. Yep, those daisies there are going to be lovely. The foxgloves, like I said, they're nearing their end. They have been gorgeous. Many I will leave to go to seed, and then I'll spread them. This one especially I want to let to go to seed and have more. Down here is Baby Blanket, ground cover rose, which I need to deadhead, and you can see the sweet little buds. Isn't it beautiful against the purple of the Cat's Pajamas Nepeta? I'm waiting for this one back here to bloom. I got to remember what that one is. So I didn't do the other side much of it. I just did a little bit. This Eden Rose, this was supposed to be pretty and pink, the bright pink. It is so beautiful. I can't be mad that it wasn't the one I planted or thought it was. But I'm loving this here, so that's a win. Now, you have got to see Albertine. Isn't that the sweetest thing with the buds surrounding it? But look how, this is the second year here, how beautiful this has grown all the way up the arbor already. I used to have one that grew up and then across the eave. And that's, the reason I wanted to put one here on these arbors. It's a rambler, one-time bloomer, but it blooms for weeks. And it's usually the very first one to bloom. So this one bloomed a little later, which maybe it's just the location. Because when it was up against the house, maybe it was warmer, so that's why it bloomed so much earlier. But, yeah, then this one, Sunblaze. Oh, there went a bee. I disturbed him. But I'm loving the Sunblaze next to this penstemon. This is the California native penstemon. Isn't it beautiful? And it did reseed. There's 2 plants in there. You see the originals back there. And then this one forward is a seedling from it, which was nice. So you see all the foxgloves. Now I can prune some of these back and they will rebloom shorter. And I may do that for the ones that aren't in the way of other things. We are now on Primrose Patio Garden. The dianthus are filling in, but I wanted to show you this erigeron, which is called Wayne Roderick. And that is just gorgeous. Got that at Annie's Annuals. As I said, it's a California native, and it just thickens up and gets more beautiful, and it blooms all summer. I put it back there because I wanted it to spread, but I think I'm going to move a piece forward. Or I'll just, maybe, some of these iris are the yellow that need to come out, so if I pull them out, it'll be more visible. Yeah, so there's this side of the Rose Cottage garden. And this is a Veronica, I can't remember exactly which one, it's a Proven Winners one, and when it gets going, it just keeps on going and is beautiful. And it's very mildew resistant, where others will succumb to powdery mildew. I have one in front. This one here in front blooms beautifully, but it does get powdery mildew pretty bad, and it just makes it look hideous when it starts getting really bad. Let me back up, and I can start down here by the back deck stairs. So I have another one of the now I can't remember it. I had looked up the name. Hardy geranium, but down here doesn't get much sun, so it doesn't bloom as well as the one up further. And then this is Monk's Hood, which is very poisonous. And my Grandpa Newt Rose. This is from my grandparents' farm. And I think of my grandfather every time I see it. And look at how this pistachio clematis is just climbing up and through the stairs. I love it when things do that. And here is that blue columbine that was so pretty, and it's not gone to seed yet. I don't know what those little bugs on it are. I'll have to look them up. I don't think they're damaging, the little black bugs there. But I will look it up and make sure. My Queen of Sweden rose. It was just full of blooms not long ago, and it will rebloom. But, you know, this is one of my favorite things all this time of year, every year, is this Warsaw Nike clematis. Now, I did a video, and I think I shared it, where I just cut this down to 10, 12 inches in early spring, late winter. And just look at that thing now covering this wall. And when it starts to fade in blooms, I'll give it a prune, and I'll get a rebloom. And I'm thinking of putting another rose right here. So I haven't settled on that completely, but I have a couple that are in pots. So, Crown Princess Margareta. This is not sold as a climber, but I noticed that I was throwing out long canes, and so I just started training it up back here for this. So I have some little, this is a dwarf yarrow, which I love. Instead of getting really tall, it stays real short and bushy. But this little rose, Excelsi, I'm loving, and I can't wait for it to take off and climb up this arbor. Oops, you hear the crackling of my knees. So all along here, this Patricia hardy geranium is just a monster. Yeah, I'm thinking of maybe moving it back, like back over there, so it can fill in back there where that pot is, instead of it having right in the front of the garden and have something shorter up towards the front. But that would be a fall project. This is, I don't know what this is. I'm gonna have to wait till it blooms. It looks like it's a verbascum, but I don't remember putting one here, but that doesn't mean I didn't. I could have had some extra seedlings and went ahead and did that. This snapdragon has been tremendous and bloomed and bloomed and bloomed. So that tells me I need to plant more snapdragon seeds. So here's one of my roses. See this? The unusual petals. You see how it thins when it gets close to there? That's the nature of this crazy daisy. All of them are different. That's why I love the crazy daisies. They all have different petal shapes and forms, etc. I do have a delphinium back there, and I don't know what's going on with it, where it went. I need to go back there and maybe de-crowd it. I don't even know if that's a word. But here's more foxgloves. Here, that is where I want to put my Florentina rose, I do believe. And maybe two of the shorter growing roses. I have Joanne's Pink, which is a hybrid perpetual. That might do well in there. And I popped a rose here. I don't know which one it is. It was one I was desperate to get in the ground. And so I just threw it in there, and it's doing well. Now here's some more of those plants. Maybe I had more of those wedding candles verbascums. So we'll see what happens there with those. So we're back up on this side, coming up. And that, my friends, is the Rose Cottage garden. Here's the Dreamweaver rose climbing up. That's the one that I can see so beautifully walking along the porch. And this is Zephyrine Druin, and it's got lots more buds, Anita Deadhead, etc. So there's always this time of year where things are getting a little past me, but that's okay. I am out here to enjoy it. I don't sweat those things. My garden is never sweet and tidy. It is always a jumble, and I just love the masses of blooms. And you know what? I don't weed either section, this section or this section, because it's so full of plants. Number one, I can't see the weeds, and number two, I don't think they've gotten a foothold. I may get a few things. You might see some oxalis or whatever, and when I see those, I do dig them up, but it's usually closer to the path and all of that. Now, this is the back side of that arbor bench. want to make me a little cushion to put on it and make it interesting. I still haven't gotten rid of that wire vine or fixed my wall. All in due time. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tour of the Rose Cottage garden and all that is going on in it. And you know what? By next week, it will be different again. Maybe more roses will be blooming. I don't know. But definitely, I think the foxgloves will be mostly done, and there'll be fewer of them. I'll just leave the ones that are going to seed, and the rest will be cut back for a maybe another bloom, or pulled out, depending on what I decide. So there is that. Happy well, actually, this is first day of summer. Yep, summer equinox. No, summer what? Summer solstice. Sorry. There we go. I'll get it straight. And I hope you enjoyed seeing the back rose garden. Not to be missed on this tour. This is Safari. Isn't that beautiful? Maybe that's the rose that I will put right there. Don't you think it'd be gorgeous against that purple? Yeah, now that I'm thinking of it, that sounds wonderful. And another change that I think I'll make, I have some more of this. I think I will plant some over on this side at the base of that rose. What do you think? Do you think that'll work? Don't you think that color blue with this rose would be stunning? Let me know what you think. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tour on this 4th week of July, and coming up is the Secret Cottage garden and what's going on there. I don't know if can you hear the hummingbirds? They keep coming for this feeder and they're chirping. And the back deck, I'll share when I get the back deck all put together, what it looks like when it's done and how we enjoyed all summer. My back deck garden, that hummingbird keeps going right over the camera. Anyways, I wish you could see them. I need to somehow push the camera further back so they fly in front of it for you. Yeah. Alrighty, friends. You have a great day in the garden. And if you have any, like I said, suggestions for the back hillside, please do share. I'm going for tough, drought-tolerant perennials. I know some of the nepetas will go back there, and because they just are wonderful. And maybe some more rudbeckias, some of the daisies, because they reseed themselves. All of those are good. And I don't care if it's wild, because it's just back there with the roses. All right. Happy gardening and enjoy the last week of June. It's summer.